Gloria's point in her summation, which she brought it down to this. She said Donald Trump's day on January 6th, when it has been described, I think now falsely, as doing nothing. She said, this is not, as it may appear, a story of inaction in a time of crisis, but instead it was the final action of Donald Trump's own plan to usurp the will of the American people and remain in power. So she is describing someone who was actually in action in that situation, and it is active. If you know that Donald Trump's language has the power to get those people out of the building, every second he's not getting them out of the building, he is in fact the invisible hand behind that stack of people, pushing them into the building. It was entirely active. His silence was entirely active and powerful all the time.
I think they ought. I'm sorry.
No, go.
No, you.
No, you.
I mean, we've heard Liz Cheney read the criminal statute about obstructing a congressional proceeding. They have not leaned into seditious conspiracy, but they provided the kind of evidence that you would seek out. One was Bannon talking about the conspiracy on October 31st, where he says exactly what he's going to do. And the other is that Ali Alexander piece, where you've got the tape of him saying he knows his supporters will listen to whatever he says. So they're starting to drop out. And
Can we talk about that for a moment? Because when the Ali Alexander message came up, they described it as being a message between Ali Alexander and another January 6th organizer. And all of us gasped when that happened. Because I feel like seeing the internal communications among the different organizers and them knowing Trump's state of mind. Ali Alexander isn't saying it would have a big effect on the crowd if Trump did X. He's saying Trump knows that it would have a major effect on the crowd.
That's right.
His words. And so he's talking about what the president's mindset is. Now, he could be being a pundit. He could be prognosticating and thinking about what he believes
does in the middle of a coup.
Or one of the rally organizers could be in touch enough with Trump in an ongoing way that he was able to report, based on information that he had, that Trump was aware that he could stop.
And the problem is that, you know, for Trump to get away from the seditious conspiracy being the head of it, he would have to be somebody who is sort of overwhelmed by the events that are taking place and doesn't really know what to do. But he does know what to do. He knows exactly what he wants to do. He's sitting in his dining room calling senators or having Rudy Giuliani do that. He's buying as much time as he can, 187 minutes. What he does with that time is not take any of the steps a president would take. He takes the steps a coup plotter would take. Is he says, can we use this pressure that he knows is violent, that he knows is armed, that he knows involves incredibly violent, dangerous groups who he's referenced before, stand back and stand by. He knows who they are. And he just said, do we have enough time? And then in the end, the line that I think struck me from the whole thing today, Mike Pence let me down. His whole conclusion.
At 6 o'clock. At 6 o'clock. The other part of that, though, is that he kicks out the photographer. So not only does he know he needs the time, he has such corrupt intent. He doesn't want anyone to see what he does with the time.
And you know who had the photographer with him? Mike Pence. Mike Pence, bring the photographer in. I mean, and I don't mean to say that Donald Trump was somehow impotent through any of it. I'm sorry to use that word in the context of Donald Trump. But
it's always funny, though.
Yes.
It's all right. It works every time.
I think it is so telling that we don't have the call logs, that we don't know what the presidential diary says, that we don't know, that there's no evidence of what he was doing, and that he holed up in the dining room.
Is that why he goes to the dining room?
Yes.
Because that's somehow more private? I mean, he's still in the White House complex. It's not like he went to a Wendy's. You know what I mean? Like, I've never been in this part of the White House. So why does it matter that he's gone to the dining room?
It's smaller. You have to go through there are other ways in. But the Oval Office is, and I understand in Trump's White House, there's been a lot of great reporting of this. There are 2 doors. People are in and out all the time. To Joy's point, he wanted to be alone.
Yeah. And by the way, off the Oval is an office where presidents actually work, right? There's the Oval where they have their meetings, and then there's a smaller office where if they want to get writing done, not that Trump was doing a lot of that necessarily, but that's where they actually work. So the dining room is telling, I think, in terms of what he knew he was doing.
We also have a sort of puncturing of the privacy he was trying to get, with the White House being able to ferret out that he was calling senators and that he was calling Rudy Rudy Giuliani. I mean, it does put a tighter focus for me on Republican elected officials refusing subpoenas.
Yeah.
We are not seeing testimony from Republican members of Congress, let alone Republican senators. We're not seeing testimony from the Giulianis, the Bannons, and all of these other people. And it makes it more important because now we know if he was actively trying to run the violent overthrow of the government from the White House dining room that day, those were the levers he was trying to pull in order to do it.
And by the way, the thing that is also striking is the room he never went to. Because, I mean, I've never worked in the White House. You worked in the White House. He never goes in the... You would think he'd be in the Situation Room.
Yes,
saying, okay, let's coordinate. Let's figure out. But I think, as you said earlier, it's because he was the leader of the coup, not the leader of the government.